3D printing is really cool and it can be really fun, but it also is extremely frustrating sometimes. It's the most frustrating when you have stringing. If you're not familiar with stringing, then I envy you, because stringing is the worst. It means more time that you have to post-process your print. It doesn't take super long. You could use a blow dryer or a heat gun or just a little TLC to clean up your final print, but it still takes time and effort. After you just spent all this time printing, it would be a lot better if you didn't have to do all that extra work. I mean, look at this. There's stringing here, and I really don't want stringing on my print. I would just like it to print. The way that we fix stringing outside of retraction settings and other settings in the slicer, more often than not, is actually moisture, believe it or not. Wet filament is a 3D printer's worst enemy when it comes down to it, specifically in relation to stringing and oozing. That's why in 2021, we released our Filament Drying Desiccant. And we're excited to announce that we're relaunching our Filament Drying Desiccant, and we have activated Alumina Desiccant now in refreshed packaging and available in a 2-pack now. Our Filament Drying Desiccant comes with an included humidity indicator card, so you know when it's time to recharge your desiccant or to dry your filament entirely. It's super cool, and I'm excited to tell you more about our activated Alumina Desiccant, specifically made for drying filament. Before I dive into and talk about why moisture affects 3D printing, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe now and leave a like if you're interested in seeing more content like this. Your subscription helps our channel grow and allows us to create more awesome content like this in the future. Thank you for your support. Now, filament is impacted by moisture because the moisture inside of wet filament turns into tiny little bubbles of steam when it's heated inside of the 3D printer's nozzle. These steam bubbles push melted filament around, causing it to ooze out and create a stringy mess. Another reason why wet filament causes stringing and all these other issues when printing is a process called hydrolysis. I'm not going to go into detail about hydrolysis here, but the gist of it is that the water molecules in wet filament break apart the chemical bonds that hold plastic material together. As the moisture boils off inside the nozzle, it creates pressure spikes that force the melted filament out, leading to excessive stringing during printing. In some cases, the escaping steam from wet filament can cause too much filament to be pushed out, especially in areas where the printer slows down. This is called overextrusion, and overextrusion contributes to even more stringing. Our Filament Drying Desiccant is made from activated alumina, not silica gel, which you might already be familiar with. Silica gel comes in most anything that you order that needs to remain dry through shipping. It's that little packet that comes when you order a package and says, "Do not eat." Our Filament Drying Desiccant is designed conveniently to fit in the center of a filament spool, so you could use it while printing on rollers or while storing it away to use later. It is 10 times stronger than silica gel. It is actually so strong that you can even absorb some surface level moisture from the filament, something that silica gel just isn't potent enough to do. And it's eco-friendly, non-toxic, and food safe. It is infinitely rechargeable. That means that you can throw this bad boy in the oven whenever it becomes a bit too saturated from absorbing moisture, and then you're good to go and use it again, over and over and over and over again. So you buy it once and you use it again forever. Its high absorption capacity and rechargeable nature make it the perfect option for keeping your valuables or whatever you need in pristine condition for a very long time. Our activated Alumina Desiccant is also ethically sourced. Our CEO Dan dove into this in a recent video where he talked about the importance of manufacturing our products here in the USA. You can watch that video and learn more about it by clicking the link here somewhere in the top right corner. We use a canister of desiccant for all of our spools of filament that are especially prone to moisture. All of our spools of nylon, PETG, PEEK, and any other filament that is especially prone to moisture lives in a sealed container with our activated Alumina Desiccant. It's something that we cannot live without here in Florida, and if you're in an environment where there's any level of moisture in the air, it's something that you definitely need to improve your 3D printing process. When you're using filament drying desiccant for 3D printing, there are a few ways that you can use it. The first is for actually storing your filament. We use filament drying desiccant in this jar box that you've seen in the back of our videos. This is a rep box by Repcord. Our version is not actually sealed, that's back here in the background. This one's just for marketing and display. It looks really pretty, it's got lights, and it shows off some of these Polymaker spools of filament that we have here in the back. We've got some filament drying desiccant cans that are back here, but because this version of the box isn't sealed, it's not the ideal enclosure that you'd want to store desiccant in, but it's doing a fantastic job at actually keeping this desiccant dry. You can see the relative humidity level is down around 40%, and this desiccant hasn't been recharged in a very long time. It's just back here for looks. In a sealed environment, our activated Alumina Desiccant can actually bring the moisture levels down below 10%, and we have even in vacuum sealed environment, we've maintained moisture levels of 0% humidity. We use containers like these in the office to store filaments that are especially prone to absorbing moisture. Our nylons and our PETGs live in vacuum sealed containers like these with a canister of filament drying desiccant in the center. These containers from Print Dry are really awesome because all you have to do to vacuum seal is you take the pump that they have and you just suck out the moisture from the container and you're good to go. It is able to vacuum seal the container and you have the desiccant inside, and together they pair really nicely. If you don't have one of these fancy boxes to keep your filament in, you could use a Ziploc bag or another sealed container to keep it in. The key is that it is a sealed environment that moisture cannot get into or out of. And then you put the filament drying desiccant inside of it and absorb the moisture. The trick to all of this is that you want to also make sure that your filament is dry before you put it in the container. Now, filament drying desiccant can absorb some surface level moisture from the filament, but it's essential that your filament is also dry beforehand. We recommend using a filament dryer or a toaster oven or a regular oven to actually dry your filament beforehand and then putting it inside of a box to keep it dry and regulated before printing. Drying your filament and keeping your filament dry with desiccant is a quick and easy way to improve your 3D prints and to make the 3D printing process so much easier. If you're interested in learning more ways to improve your 3D printing process, we put together a comprehensive guide called 7 Things You Should Not Do with Your 3D Printer that you can download for free in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay zesty.